They say that you should invest in gold and silver. But what would you buy with that? Food? Everyone should have their own seed bank. Personally, I think that seeds would be worth their weight in gold. Start saving them and stock up. Tomato seeds need to soak to remove gel cover. After a few days, rinse, dry, and store.
Did you know that most cucumber will grow straight? So if you have curling cucumbers like this, it means that there's probably a pollination problem. There's probably not enough bees. To get straight cucumbers, make sure that the growing environment is not too hot or too...
I often get asked, where did you learn how to do all of these things? And my answer to that is, I was raised by very, very strong women in my family. My mother and my grandmothers taught me everything that I know. I was very fortunate that both of my grandmothers grew up in the Depression era. Even though that was a horrible period of time in their lives, the skills that they learned, they passed down to me. This is my grandmother's cast iron pan, but it's not just about owning this pan. It's about owning the knowledge that she gave me when there's no butter on the shelves, how to use a butter wrapper to grease my pans. Every family has a story, and this is mine.
How to combine these two ingredients to make your own natural medicine. You will need 1 2 bulbs of organic garlic, 1 jar of raw organic honey, and 1 glass jar. Now separate the cloves from the bulb, crush it and peel it. When you crush your garlic, you produce allicin. Allicin is the defensive mechanism of garlic when it thinks it's attacked. Fill up 2/3 of the jar with your peeled garlic and top it up with honey. Mix well until completely coated. Leave a headspace as it will start bubbling and fermenting, causing explosion. The mixture will get super watery in a few days, thanks to the osmotic process between the honey and the water in the garlic. The longer you leave it to ferment, the better. After 1 month, you can start consuming 1 spoon a day to boost your immune system.
Anybody that's got a couple of acres of land and his own water supply and can grow his own food and that kind of thing, or have some sheep or some chickens, these people are a threat to the collectivist society because they aren't going to go to the politicians and say, please feed me, please clothe me, please give me shelter. They tend to be independent. That's the secret behind Agenda 21.
I grew up in a house that grew our food and canned it for food preservation. My grandmother would say, go to the garden, it's your grocery store. It doesn't take a lot of money to eat organically or healthy. But I feel these traditions are being lost. From generation to generation, we forget how to take care of ourselves in the most basic ways. I know where every corn kernel came from seed to table, and I'd like to share some of that with you. I've decided I'm going to start making some videos, so maybe this knowledge isn't lost on the next generation. Today I'm going to be making some apple juice on live. I hope you join me.
Did you know that you can preserve your freshly harvested food to enjoy it all year round?
Okay, we're going to turn this fish tank into something that can grow food, but first, let's introduce our new family member to the rest of the gang. Moving on, rinse this leca really, really good. Time to set up the tank and let the little fishy get acclimated. Get the little filter in there and assemble the growing trays. We're going to add the growing media and then sprinkle on our seeds. Don't go too crazy, don't need a lot. This tank is perfect for growing microgreens. I've named my little fishy Mustard, and we're going to let him figure out how to move out of his old, small, cramped quarters into his beautiful new luxury condo. I'm pretty sure that Mustard approves of his new living quarters. Now we're going to put on the lid, get the pump going, and get water flowing through all of those chambers to start those seeds to grow. It won't be long. In about 7 days, I'll start seeing some growth happening right away. This little aquaponic garden fits perfectly in small spaces.
Let's take a look at how I preserve corn. Your kitchen, your rules. I'm going to show you how I do it. I find this method keeps the corn nice and crunchy and this beautiful golden color. Start by shucking your corn. Don't throw this away, we can make more things with them. Something from nothing is my jam, so the corn husk are going in the oven to dehydrate for tamales. The corn silk I will dry out for teas throughout the year. This is good for your urinary system and a few other things. And then the corn cobs I'm going to save and make corn cob jelly. The rest that I'm not using I just mulch up. I'm going to put those into my compost, and then this will help me next year in my gardens. Grab a bunt pan and a knife and start cutting off the kernels. I know this looks silly, but I have found this is the best way to keep the corn from flying all over the room, plus it's how I was taught to do it. It's now time to start filling up our jars. After heating my jars, I add the corn, leaving 1-inch headspace. I'm going to give each pint jar 1 teaspoon of salt. This is just for flavoring, not for safety, you can leave it out. And I'm also going to give each jar 1 tab of butter. Again, this can be left out. I'm only going to fill my jars about 1/4 of the way full with hot boiling water. I get less siphoning this way, the corn stays nice and crisp, and it cooks in its own juices, which makes it very flavorful. Wipe the rims with white vinegar, I add my flats, and then my rings finger tight. Next, I place all of my jars in my All-American pressure canners. Rory has enough for a double stack, but poor Amelia does not. After venting for 10 minutes, I add 10 pounds of pressure. When I achieve pressure, I start the timer for 55 minutes. You'll end up with this beautiful golden corn, not burnt and not mushy. And don't be like me. I thought this was a box of zucchini. And when I went to process it, I realized it's a box of corn. So I'm not done with the corn. Back to the kitchen I go. Happy canning!
Recipe 6 out of the canning book, we're going to make peach rum sauce. I know I'm doing a lot of peach recipes, but it is stone fruit season, so peaches, plums, apricots, all of those, I'm going to do it. The recipe calls for peaches, granulated sugar, brown sugar, and rum. I got your good old-fashioned Captain Morgan, and I'm sticking with it. I'm simple. And I might just put a little bit extra in there. Bloop! This recipe would be really, really good over ice cream or maybe even a hot oatmeal. And it did call for lemon juice, but I ran out, so I'm just using lemon oil. We're gonna turn it up and boil it all together so that way the sugar dissolves. And oh my gosh, this smell was so good. The one thing I would do different with this sauce is I probably would mash up the peaches a little bit more. They still stayed pretty chunky, so next time I do it, I'm probably just going to mash them up. Wipe the rims, get the air bubbles out, and water bath these for 10 minutes. And let me know how it goes.
Everyone needs this in their garden. Pineapple sage, y'all, it's so fragrant. It smells just like pineapples. It's so good. I love to use this and muddle this in my cocktails. And probably about 5 weeks, this is gonna have the most prolific red bloom. The hummingbirds love it. Pineapple sage, you can buy this at any local garden center, and it looks like Babs had this one for a long time, but I'll have this in my garden too. Wonderful. And look, she's got that true Kentucky mint by her back door. That smells so good. You always gotta have the herbs for your cocktail sitting by your back door so you can snip and clip and you're always cocktail ready.